I'm Sam from Cultaholic Wrestling, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at the show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A+ to F. Now, it is the go-home show for WWE Fastlane, and as we've learned over recent months, the go-home show should really just be named WWE SmackDown brackets. Literally everything that could ever possibly happen on an episode of SmackDown happens. So without any further ado, let's crack on with it. Hit the intro. So the show opens with Bianca and Sasha bickering backstage just by the curtain about Reggie, about Nia, and Bianca's sort of like, you know, you've made a bad decision here, do whatever you're going to do, but I will not be making the save for you tonight. And then we go straight into our first matchup of the evening, which is Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks for Sasha's WWE SmackDown Women's title. Shayna comes out with Nia. Reggie's not here this week. He's been sent on a spa day by Nia because, you know, he's been going through a lot recently. We see a nice little picture of him with some cucumbers on his eyes. Sasha's straight on the offensive though, almost locking in an early Banks statement, but Nia manages to press her and then just sets to grinding her into the mat. Out comes Belair, we go to break, and when we come back, Sasha is just being worked over hard by Nia. She's getting stretch mufflered, her knees are getting obliterated, but in the stretch muffler, Nia's even like smacking her face into the turnbuckle. Nia keeps the grind going on Sasha's knee for a little bit after this, but then Sasha locks in the Banks statement. Shayna then jumps into the ring, and at the same time, Belair jumps into the ring. Referee only sees Belair, gets distracted. Shayna lines up to kick Sasha in the face. Sasha moves. She accidentally boots Nia just square in the mush. And then, Sasha just rolls over jackknife cover 1, 2, 3. Sasha retains her title. I'm going to give this one a B-. I really liked this one. I really did. It just felt a tiny little bit stop-start in places, but Sasha seemed outmatched in places, which nicely bolsters Nia's offense and Nia's sort of credibility as a tough wrestler. It also adds doubts to her abilities going into the match against Belair at Mania. You know, if she's having this much of a problem with Nia, you know, how is she going to fare against Bianca? Shayna punting her own partner was also a very nice touch, and you've got to know that something's coming as a result of this. We then go backstage to Kayla Braxton, who is with Edge, and she asks him about making his big return to wrestling on SmackDown. Edge runs down his highs and lows, you know, from beating The Undertaker all the way to having to retire, but he says that Bryan needs a fair shake at Fastlane, and if he's not the guy that's out there, that ain't gonna happen. Before he goes as well, he very quickly just chastises Jay a little bit again. He's like, you know, I like Jay. I think he's a great wrestler. I just don't understand what he's doing, you know, hanging around Roman and being his lackey. We then go backstage to Nia and Shayna is trying to apologize profusely for kicking Nia in the face, and Nia's like, you better not pull this on Sunday. I should be double champion and all of that sort of stuff. Shayna says she'll make it right though. She'll do that by going and finding an official and getting a match against Belair tonight and just kicking her to bits. We then go to an in-ring segment from Seth Rollins, who comes down and he says, you know, I may have been kind of disrespected by the entire locker room when they all walked off, but there is one person who disrespected me more than everybody else, and that's Cesaro. He had the gall to stand there, wait patiently, and then walk away. He says Cesaro's jealous of him. He calls Cesaro a failure. He says, even though you swung me round, you know, you spun me 22 times, you're never going to humiliate me like that again. He then calls Cesaro the biggest waste of potential in WWE history, and out comes Shinsuke Nakamura. Rollins tries to scare him off. Nakamura tells him to shut up. They fight briefly, and Nakamura puts Rollins square on his body. I'm going to give this one a B-. It was standard Rollins fare, but this match is going to be insane. Just hook it right to my veins. Next up, we go to the Mysterios versus the Street Profits, and we've got the Top Dogs, or the Dirty Dogs, at ringside, whatever they're called these days. They're wearing t-shirts to say Dirty Dogs, but Michael Cole keeps calling them Top Dogs. I don't know. Ford and Dom have a great exchange to start here, with Dawkins getting in for a little bit of double team action on both father and son. Dom gets in, then things break down for a second, but the Profits seem like they're very much still on top. When Dawkins gets back in though, he lifts Dominik up into the electric chair position for a double team maneuver, but Ray manages to jump into the ring, slide through Dawkins' legs, knock Ford off the corner, and then Dominik manages to roll Dawkins down into a pin. So yeah, Dominik picks up the win here, and this one gets a B+. You know, for a match where it was super quick and a hell of a lot happened, none of it felt rushed. Dom just continues to prove that wrestling skills and the Force are one and the same, and he's been imbued with some crazy abilities thanks to his lineage, like some sort of weird lucha Jedi. The Profits didn't look daft in their loss, it was nicely handled, but then out comes Alpha Academy. Gable gets on the mic, runs the Mysterios down, and then when they're in the ring, facing off with them, they turn their back to address the Street Profits, the Mysterios jump them, and of course you know where this one's going. So this one was made official through the break. We've got the Mysterios wrestling again, back-to-back duties, lads, against Alpha Academy. Gable gets absolutely murked almost immediately with a 619, but Ray gets cut off by Otis, and Otis just sets to work, demolishing him. Ray manages to get the hot tag to Dom, Otis tags in Gable, and again we enter a blistering pace phase of the match. Otis stops a pin attempt, Ray chases him to the outside, only to get hurled into a barricade, and then back in the ring, Gable hits this beautiful rolling suplex, Otis hits the splash, and Alpha Academy pick up the win. Again, I'm going to give this one a B+. There was no real fat to speak of here, it was all just sleek, slender, beautiful sports entertainment. The dirty top dogs were great on commentary, and after the match, they became the center of attention as Street Profits had joined them at commentary after their match had ended, and obviously Alpha Academy and the Street Profits, they want them titles. We then see Sammy backstage, and he's on camera, for his documentary he's filming, and then up pops Owens. Owens tells him, look, I'm not sure about appearing in this documentary anymore. Are you aware that you're sort of twisting reality with this? I've known you for a very long time, Sammy, and it's quite concerning. I've never heard you talk and go on like this before. Sammy brushes it off and pleads with him to come to ringside for his match against Corbin later, and Owens reluctantly agrees. We then go to an in-ring promo from Daniel Bryan. He hypes Edge's big return to wrestling on SmackDown tonight, and he runs down Jay and Roman. He does bring up the fact that Edge is the ultimate opportunist though, and he knows that Edge doesn't want to face Bryan, and Edge thinks he can beat Roman. Well, the difference here is that Bryan knows he can beat Roman. He promises he's going to make Roman tap, and then on cue, like Beetlejuice, out comes Roman Reigns, who just laughs off everything Bryan's been saying, dismisses, his I'm better than you and I'm going to beat you, dismisses it all as lies and fake bravado. Roman's like, you can't tap me out. Nobody's ever tapped me out. I'd rather somebody snap my arm. I'd rather die in the middle of the ring than you tap me out, than anybody tap me out. Bryan then turns it back on Roman and his delusions, and he says, everybody is unbeatable until they lose. He promises to break Roman of these delusions, and he says, look, I hope you don't die, but either way, I'm beating you at Fastlane. I'm going to give this a B+. Bryan bringing that underdog energy that only Daniel Bryan can bring, and Roman just laughing him off before getting very, very serious was a nice touch as well. Whatever's going to happen here, whether it becomes a three-way at Mania or not, for a fact this Sunday, when these two face off, it's going to be absolute gold. Next up, we go to Sami Zayn versus King Corbin with Kevin Owens on commentary, and this one was billed as the irritating force meets the unlikable object, and then Corbin just immediately starts outpowering Zayn when the bell rings. Owens on commentary though seems genuinely concerned about his friend's well-being. He's like, I've never heard him go on like this. He doesn't use tactics like this, and in the ring, Corbin is on the offensive. He's on the offensive. Sami starts, eye poke. He starts using the ropes as leverage, and Owens is like, he's never really done this sort of stuff before. The match ends fairly quickly, however, with Sami going to the turnbuckle pad to try and remove it, and then Corbin manages to smash him with an end of days. 1, 2, 3. Post-match, Zayn comes up to Owens and he's like, you see, they robbed me of all of this. And Owens is like, look man, you have to let go of this. Sometimes you just lose, and that's just how it is. You just got to roll with it. You can't be doing this anymore. Zayn, realizing that Owens isn't on side with him, just starts screaming in his face like a toddler. He walks away for a bit, and then he just plows into him and starts attacking him. I'm going to give this one a B+. It was definitely more of a story builder than a match, but it was great. Owens and Zayn is a feud as old as time, and it's usually pretty gold, so this is a fantastic next step for Sammy's story here. We then go to a remote interview being conducted between Big E and Apollo Crews, and Big E's like, you know what, there's no more time anymore to settle our differences. I want vengeance. He's just full of this bubbling aggression, and he's telling Apollo, enjoy your last 2 days because your immediate future after that is going to be very, very bleak. He promises to give Apollo everything he deserves, and Apollo cuts him off and runs him down for being disrespectful to a member of Nigerian royalty. And he quotes an old proverb, which is, if you fill your mouth with razors, you're going to spit blood. He promises to show his inner Nigerian warrior, and he states that he will be the next IC champ. He says, well, there's no point waiting, starts taking his mic and everything off. The camera guy starts following him as he's leaving the room. He gets into a golf buggy, and he's driving around in the back of the arena, and he's just shouting after him, trying to find find Apollo, and eventually he does. And then he just proceeds to brutally beat him down, like from wall to wall, head first into some metal like lockers, just absolutely wailing on him until officials come and break it all up. This gets an A for E's delivery alone. What a great performer, man. Like, just as I said, that bubbling aggression just simmering away, and then eventually he's just had enough snaps and it just boils over into this brutal beatdown. I've never seen this side of him before, and it's fantastic. Next up, we go to Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax at ringside. And out comes Sasha Banks. It looks like she's going to come down to ringside for Belair, except she just kind of stands there and goes, "Nah, you got this," and just walks to the back. So with Belair distracted by Sasha, Shayna immediately sets to work, and then Nia just decides she's going to leave ringside. She's kind of smirking to herself as she's going up the ramp. Very quickly after this though, Natty and Tamina storm the ring, they hurl Shayna over commentary, and they beat Belair down into the mat. They stand tall, and this gets a C+ simply because it was so short. I get it was a setup, but it was so short. But we've got a really nice little dynamic here between Nia and Shayna. Now I think Sasha leaving Belair was linked to the opening where Belair was like, "I'm not coming out to help you," and all that stuff. But the Nia thing's intriguing. Did she have knowledge that, Natty and Tamina were going to storm the ring? Is that something she was aware about? Is she wanting to get a little bit of revenge on Shayna for accidentally kicking her in the face? Does she believe that Shayna accidentally kicked her in the face? And now it's time for our main event of the evening, which is Edge versus Jay Uso, with the winner going on to be the special guest enforcer at Fastlane. Now, Edge uses his savvy as a bit of a ring general to take firm control here, and Jay is actually running pretty scared here in the opening phase of the match. Edge keeps up the offense until he's hurled to the outside, where Jay throws him into the ring steps and then kind of sets him back up, goes back in the ring, nails him with a dive, and pushes him into commentary. When we come back, Jay's in firm control. He punches Edge off the apron to the floor, gets him back in the ring, and then just, like a full power Irish whip on the games where, go all the way down and they go like 58 miles an hour as fast as you want to throw them. That, but rib first, sideways into the ring post. Edge, man. Now, Edge is, of course, going to try and fight back here, but he is in a lot of pain. He's clutching the ribs, he's crying out in agony, but he's trying to persevere. He manages to drop Jay as he comes off the top, and even manages to hit a high knee himself off the top, straight to Jay's shoulder, but unfortunately it's not enough. He still eats a Samoan drop. There's a top rope Rana from Edge, and then he lines up for the spear, only to go full pelt into a super kick, and he also eats the splash. His ribs are absolutely done at this point, but after a little more back and forth, out of nowhere, Edge comes off the ropes, hits the spear, and picks up the 3. I think everybody saw this, but Edge goes on to Fastlane to be the special guest enforcer, but there is no way on earth that we're not seeing Jay during that match, is there? Now, Bryan's been on commentary throughout this one, and Roman comes out, attacks Edge, stands in the ring, and demands that Bryan get in there with him and tap him out if he's so confident he can do it. That was good. As Bryan gets up, Jay knocks him down on the floor, throws him in the ring, Roman beats him down, and stands tall to close the show. I'm going to give this one an A. It was a great return to SmackDown for Edge here, and oh my god, the level of selling. He put Jay over so strong here with that. I mean, key moments of Jay's brutality were just made so much better by this, like hurling him full pelt, like sideways into that ring post, just absolutely obliterating those ribs. For the rest of the match, Edge was just in agony. He was crying out in pain. I miss that level of dedication. And that selling absolutely amplifies everything that Jay did. Every time he targeted the ribs, the splash, everything, he was just clutching at it. As I said, Roman hitting the ring and demanding that Bryan come and tap him out right now was a proper gangster move. And I don't know, again, I say this every go-home show, I don't know how they've done it, but they've made me really excited for Fastlane. I can't wait to see where this match ends up, whether it's the 3-way, whether it's just going to be the standard match we've kind of been heading toward anyway. It's going to be great, isn't it? I'm going to give SmackDown an A this week. Every single thing on the show was worthwhile, even right down to the guest commentary spots. You can't really ask for any more from a go-home show, and especially not one that was this packed. I mean, I'm assuming we're probably around the 95-minute mark on this video, which shows how much I've been gushing about how much I enjoyed this episode. But either way, thank you for sticking with us. I can't wait to see Fastlane this weekend. What are your guys' thoughts heading into Fastlane? What did you think of this week's episode of SmackDown? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, I've been Sam from Cultaholic Wrestling. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.